Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I want to speak to you about something that will challenge everything you've been taught about what's possible and what's not. I want to share with you the secret of manifesting the seemingly impossible. Before we begin, let me ask you something. What is it that you desire but have dismissed as impossible? What dream have you buried because someone told you it was unrealistic? What healing have you given up on because the doctors said it couldn't be done? What financial breakthrough have you stopped believing in because the circumstances seem too dire? What relationship have you written off because it appears hopeless? I want you to hold that desire in your mind as we speak tonight, because I'm going to show you that there is no such thing as impossible. There are only assumptions you haven't dared to make. You see, my friends, the word impossible is nothing more than a limitation of the human imagination. It's a boundary that exists only in the minds of those who do not understand the true nature of consciousness. When you truly comprehend what consciousness is and how it operates, you realize that the only impossibility is impossibility itself. Let me tell you a story that happened just last month. A woman came to see me in tears. She said, "Neville, my son has been missing for 3 years. The police have given up. Everyone says he's dead. They tell me I need to accept reality and move on. But I can't. I won't. Is there anything I can do?" Now, by all conventional standards, this seemed impossible. 3 years missing, no leads, no hope according to everyone around her. But I looked at this desperate mother and I said, "My dear, the only reality you need to accept is that your son is alive, well, and coming home to you." "But how can you say that?" she asked. "You don't know what happened to him." I said, "I know something far more important. I know that consciousness creates reality, not the other way around. I know that what you assume to be true becomes true. And I know that if you can imagine your son walking through your door, healthy and happy, and if you can feel the reality of that reunion with every fiber of your being, then that imaginal act must and will manifest in your world." She looked at me as if I had lost my mind, but I continued. "Every night before you sleep, I want you to hear his key in the lock. I want you to feel him embrace you. I want you to smell his familiar scent. I want you to have the conversation you'll have when he returns. Live in that reality so completely that his absence becomes the dream and his presence becomes the truth." 6 weeks later, she called me, sobbing with joy. Her son had contacted the police. He'd been suffering from amnesia after an accident, living in another state under a different identity. His memory had suddenly returned, and he was coming home. Was this impossible? According to human reasoning, yes. According to the infinite power of consciousness, it was inevitable the moment she assumed it to be true. This is what I want you to understand tonight. There is nothing impossible to consciousness, because consciousness is the very substance from which all things are made. When the Bible says with God all things are possible, it's not speaking of some distant deity. It's speaking of the God consciousness that you are. But why do most people fail to manifest what they consider impossible? Because they approach it with the wrong consciousness. They try to manifest the impossible while remaining in the consciousness of impossibility. They affirm their desire while feeling their limitation. They visualize their dream while believing in their current circumstances. You cannot manifest the impossible from the state of consciousness that sees things as impossible. You must first become the person for whom this so-called impossibility is natural, normal, and inevitable. Let me share another story. A gentleman came to my lectures who had been told by doctors that he would never walk again. A devastating spinal injury had left him paralyzed from the waist down. He'd been in a wheelchair for 2 years, and every medical expert confirmed that his condition was permanent and irreversible. But after hearing these teachings, something stirred within him. He decided that he would no longer accept the verdict of the medical establishment. Every night he would imagine himself walking, not hoping to walk, not wishing to walk, but actually experiencing the sensation of walking. He told me later, "Neville, I didn't just see myself walking. I felt the ground beneath my feet. I felt my muscles moving. I felt the joy of motion through my entire body. I made it so real in my imagination that sometimes I would wake up surprised to find myself in the wheelchair." Month after month, he persisted in this imaginal act. His family thought he was in denial. His doctors were concerned about his mental state. But he knew something they didn't know. He knew that imagination creates reality. After 8 months of persistent imagining, something began to happen. He started to feel tingling in his legs, sensations that doctors said were impossible, then slight movement, then strength returning. Within 18 months he was walking again. The doctors called it a miracle. The medical journals called it unexplained. But he knew exactly what had happened. He had dared to assume what seemed impossible until it became inevitable. Now, I want you to understand something crucial about manifesting the impossible. It's not about overcoming obstacles. It's about transcending the consciousness that sees obstacles in the first place. The impossible doesn't become possible. Rather, you rise to a level of consciousness where impossibility doesn't exist. You see, what you call impossible is only impossible from your current state of consciousness. From a higher state, it's not only possible, it's already done. The person you become when you truly embody your desire doesn't struggle to make it happen, because in their consciousness it has already happened. This is why Jesus could say, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. Not believe that you will receive it, but believe that you have received it. Present tense, already done. This is the consciousness that makes the impossible inevitable. But how do you develop this consciousness? How do you move from seeing something as impossible to experiencing it as already accomplished? The secret lies in what I call the leap of faith, but not faith as most people understand it. Faith is not blind belief. Faith is not hoping for the best while expecting the worst. Faith is not wishful thinking or positive affirmations. True faith is the ability to feel the reality of your desire so completely that it becomes more real to you than your current circumstances. Let me tell you about a young man who came to my lectures with what seemed like an impossible dream. He was working as a janitor in a small office building, barely making ends meet, with no education beyond high school. But he had a burning desire to become a successful film director. Everyone around him said it was impossible. You don't have connections, they said. You don't have money for film school. You don't have experience. You're too old to start. Be realistic. But this young man understood something profound. He understood that impossibility is just a story we tell ourselves about limitation. So he decided to tell himself a different story. Every day as he cleaned those offices, he would imagine himself on movie sets, directing actors, making creative decisions, seeing his name in the credits. He would feel the satisfaction of completing a film, the excitement of premiere night, the joy of seeing audiences respond to his work. More importantly, he began to think from his desire instead of about his desire. Instead of thinking, I want to be a director, he began thinking, I am a director. Instead of cleaning those offices as a janitor who dreamed of making movies, he cleaned them as a director who was currently between projects. This shift in consciousness changed everything. He began to notice opportunities that had always been there but were invisible to his previous state of consciousness. He met people who could help him. Resources appeared that he hadn't seen before. Within 3 years, he had written, produced, and directed his first independent film, which won awards at several festivals. Was this impossible? From the consciousness of limitation, absolutely. From the consciousness of fulfilled desire, it was inevitable. The key to manifesting the impossible is to understand that there are no impossible things. It's only impossible states of consciousness. Change your state, and what seemed impossible becomes not only possible but unavoidable. But here's where most people stumble. They try to manifest the impossible while holding on to the very beliefs and assumptions that make it seem impossible in the first place. They want to heal while believing in the reality of their illness. They want wealth while feeling poor. They want love while feeling unworthy. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot simultaneously hold the consciousness of your limitation and the consciousness of your liberation. You must choose, and choosing means letting go of everything that contradicts your assumption of fulfillment. This is what I call dying to be reborn. The old consciousness, the one that sees your desire as impossible, must die for the new consciousness to be born. You must be willing to abandon your comfortable relationship with limitation in order to embrace the uncomfortable unfamiliarity of infinite possibility. I remember a woman who wanted to reconcile with her estranged daughter after 15 years of complete silence. Their relationship had ended in bitter conflict, harsh words had been spoken, and all attempts at reconciliation had failed. The daughter had moved across the country and refused all contact. By every reasonable standard, this reconciliation was impossible. Too much time had passed. Too much hurt had accumulated. The daughter had made it clear she never wanted to see her mother again. But this woman decided to live in the assumption that she and her daughter were reconciled, that they had a beautiful relationship, that they spoke regularly and lovingly. Every day she would imagine conversations with her daughter. She would feel the warmth of their renewed connection. She would experience the joy of their reconciliation so completely that sometimes she would reach for the phone to call her, forgetting that they weren't actually speaking. For months, nothing changed in the external world, but everything was changing in the world of consciousness. This mother was becoming someone for whom reconciliation with her daughter was natural and normal. Then one day, completely out of the blue, her daughter called. Through tears, she said, "Mom, I don't know why, but I've been thinking about you constantly. I miss you. Can we talk?" Was this impossible? According to the laws of human psychology and the evidence of years of estrangement, yes. According to the laws of consciousness, it was inevitable the moment the assumption was made and maintained. You see, what we call miracles are simply the natural result of consciousness operating according to its own laws. These laws are as reliable and predictable as the law of gravity. They just operate in a dimension that most people don't understand. When you truly grasp this, you realize that nothing is impossible because impossibility itself is impossible. Consciousness has no limitations except the ones it accepts. And since you are consciousness, you have no limitations except the ones you accept. But accepting a new assumption, especially one that contradicts all evidence, requires tremendous courage. It requires what I call the courage of the creator. You must be willing to stand alone in your assumption while the whole world tells you you're wrong. This is not easy. When you're manifesting the impossible, everyone around you becomes a prophet of limitation. They'll show you statistics that prove it can't be done. They'll tell you stories of others who tried and failed. They'll remind you of all the reasons why you should be realistic. But you must remember that their belief in impossibility is just as creative as your belief in possibility. They are creating a world where your desire is impossible. You are creating a world where it's inevitable. The question is, which world will you choose to inhabit? I knew a man who was $500,000 in debt, with creditors threatening legal action. His business had failed. His house was in foreclosure and his credit was destroyed. Everyone told him to declare bankruptcy and start over. By every financial measure, his situation was hopeless. But this man understood the power of assumption. Instead of assuming he was bankrupt, he assumed he was financially free. Instead of feeling the stress of debt, he cultivated the feeling of abundance. Instead of thinking about his problems, he thought from the solution. Every morning he would sit quietly and feel what it would be like to be completely debt-free with money in the bank. He would imagine the relief, the freedom, the peace of mind. He made this feeling so real that it became more compelling than his actual circumstances. Within 6 months, a series of seemingly miraculous events unfolded. An old business contact offered him a lucrative consulting contract. A distant relative left him a substantial inheritance he didn't know existed. A legal settlement from a case he'd forgotten about came through. Not only was he able to pay off all his debts, but he ended up with more money than he'd ever had before. Was this impossible? According to financial logic and statistical probability, absolutely. According to the infinite creativity of consciousness, it was simply consciousness expressing as form in response to a persistent assumption. This is what I want you to understand. Consciousness doesn't know about impossible. Consciousness only knows about assumptions and their inevitable manifestation. When you assume something is impossible, consciousness manifests that impossibility. When you assume something is inevitable, consciousness manifests that inevitability. The choice is always yours. You can assume limitation and experience limitation, or you can assume fulfillment and experience fulfillment. But you cannot assume one and experience the other. This is why I tell people, dare to assume what you dare not assume. Make assumptions so bold that they frighten you with their audacity. Assume states of consciousness so elevated that they make your current problems seem like the dreams of a fevered imagination. But assumption alone is not enough. You must persist in your assumption until it hardens into fact. This is where most people fail when attempting to manifest the impossible. They make the assumption for a day, a week, maybe even a month, but when they don't see immediate results, they abandon it and return to their old consciousness of limitation. The impossible takes longer to manifest not because it's more difficult for consciousness, but because it requires a more complete death of the old self and birth of the new. You must persist in your assumption until you become so identified with the new consciousness that the old consciousness becomes foreign to you. But let me be very clear about something. Manifesting the impossible is not about forcing outcomes or manipulating circumstances. It's about becoming so aligned with your desire that its manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. When you truly embody the consciousness of your fulfilled desire, you don't struggle to make it happen. You don't worry about how or when it will manifest. You simply know that it must and will, just as you know the sun will rise tomorrow. This knowing is not intellectual. It's felt. It's a deep cellular certainty that permeates every aspect of your being. It's the difference between hoping something will happen and knowing it already has happened in the realm of consciousness and is simply making its way into physical form. So how do you develop this knowing? How do you move from seeing your desire as impossible to experiencing it as inevitable? The answer lies in consistent, persistent, imaginative practice. Every night before sleep, when your conscious mind is quiet and your imagination is most receptive, I want you to enact the scene that would exist if your impossible desire were already fulfilled. Not as a distant hope or future possibility, but as a present reality. If you desire healing, feel the vitality coursing through your body. If you desire wealth, feel the security and freedom that abundance brings. If you desire love, feel yourself beloved and cherished. Make it so real in your imagination that your physical senses are convinced it's actually happening. The secret is to make your imaginal act more vivid and compelling than your physical circumstances. When your imagination becomes more real than your five senses, reality has no choice but to conform to your imagination. But remember, this is not a technique you do once or twice and then wait for results. This is a way of being. You must live from your assumption, not just think about it. You must become the person for whom your desire is natural, normal, and already accomplished. And here's something crucial. When you're manifesting the impossible, you must be prepared for resistance, not just from others, but from your own habitual consciousness. Your old self will fight to maintain its familiar limitations. Your rational mind will present you with evidence of why your assumption is unrealistic. This is natural and expected. Don't fight these doubts. Simply redirect your attention back to your assumption. Every time you catch yourself thinking from your old consciousness of limitation, gently but firmly return to thinking from your new consciousness of fulfillment. Remember, you're not trying to convince your mind that something impossible is possible. You're training your consciousness to inhabit a reality where impossibility doesn't exist. There's a profound difference. The impossible is only impossible for someone who believes in impossibility. For consciousness that has transcended such limitations, all things are not only possible but inevitable when properly assumed and persistently maintained. So tonight I challenge you to examine your deepest desires, the ones you've labeled impossible, unrealistic, too good to be true. I challenge you to dare to assume their fulfillment. I challenge you to become so bold in your assumptions that you shock yourself with your own audacity. But most importantly, I challenge you to persist. Persist in your assumption, regardless of what others say. Persist despite contrary evidence. Persist until your assumption becomes more real to you than your circumstances. Persist until the impossible becomes inevitable. For you are not human beings having spiritual experiences. You are consciousness itself, temporarily forgetting its own infinite creative power. When you remember who you truly are, nothing remains impossible. Everything becomes a matter of assumption and persistence. The question is not whether you can manifest the impossible. You are already doing it. The question is, will you do it consciously or unconsciously? Will you create by design or by default? Will you assume limitation or liberation? You are the operant power in your world. You are consciousness expressing as individual experience. You are the God of your own reality. And for God, nothing is impossible, including the realization of your most impossible dreams. Dare to assume. Dare to persist. Dare to become the version of yourself for whom your impossible desire is already an accomplished fact. The impossible is waiting for you to make it inevitable. Thank you and good evening. And I'll see you in the next video. If this resonates with you and you found value in these teachings, please like this video, subscribe to Best of Lectures, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Your support helps me continue bringing you these powerful lectures that can transform lives. Until next time, remember, you are the operant power in your world. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I'm going to teach you something that may shock you. Something that will completely transform your relationship with your own mind. I'm going to teach you how to trick your subconscious mind, that faithful servant that controls 95% of your thoughts, behaviors, and experiences into creating the life you desire. Now, when I say trick, I don't mean deceive in any dishonest way. I mean to understand the language your subconscious speaks and communicate with it in ways that bypass the critical, doubting, limiting conscious mind. I mean to learn the secret codes, the hidden doorways, the master keys that give you direct access to the most powerful creative force in your being. Your subconscious mind is like the most faithful servant you could ever have. But here's the secret that most people never discover. It cannot tell the difference between what is vividly imagined and what is physically real. It accepts as fact whatever you consistently impress upon it with feeling and conviction. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is the literal mechanism through which every experience in your life is created. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly how to use this mechanism deliberately, consciously, and powerfully. Let me begin with a story that will illustrate the power of what I'm teaching you tonight. Just last month, a woman came to my lecture who had been suffering from severe insomnia for over 5 years. She said, "Neville, I've tried everything: medication, therapy, meditation. Nothing works. Every night I lie in bed for hours, my mind racing, unable to sleep. I've come to accept that I'm just not a good sleeper." I looked at this exhausted woman and immediately recognized what was happening. I said, "My dear, you've been programming your subconscious mind to keep you awake. Every time you say, 'I'm not a good sleeper,' every time you worry about not sleeping, every time you lie in bed expecting to struggle, you're giving your subconscious mind clear instructions to prevent sleep." "But these are just facts about my situation," she protested. "I'm just being realistic." "No," I replied. "You're being creative. Your subconscious mind doesn't know facts from fiction. It only knows what you consistently impress upon it. Right now, you've impressed upon it that you are a person who cannot sleep. And like the faithful servant it is, it's working tirelessly to confirm this identity." I taught this woman a simple trick that night. Instead of trying to force herself to sleep, instead of fighting with her mind, instead of accepting insomnia as her reality, I taught her to trick her subconscious mind into believing she had already slept wonderfully. Every evening, before getting into bed, she would sit quietly and remember sleeping perfectly. Not imagine it as a future possibility, but remember it as though it had already happened. She would recall the feeling of deep, restful sleep. She would remember waking up refreshed and energized. She would impress upon her subconscious mind the memory of being an excellent sleeper. Within 1 week, she was sleeping better than she had in years. Within a month, her insomnia was completely gone. She had tricked her subconscious mind out of the insomnia pattern by giving it new memories, new impressions, new facts to work with. You see, your conscious mind is the gatekeeper between your desires and your subconscious mind. And unfortunately for most people, this gatekeeper is highly critical, deeply skeptical, and constantly resistant to change. When you try to tell yourself, "I am wealthy," while your bank account shows lack, your conscious mind immediately objects. "That's not true," it says. "You're lying to yourself. Be realistic. Look at the facts." And this objection prevents the new assumption from reaching your subconscious mind, where the real creative work happens. This is why simple affirmations often fail. You're trying to get past the gatekeeper through the front door, but the gatekeeper knows all the locks and refuses to let you through. So you must learn to use the secret passages, the hidden entrances that bypass the conscious mind's resistance entirely. Think of your subconscious mind as a garden, and your conscious mind as a fence around that garden. If you try to throw seeds over the fence during the day when the conscious mind is alert and watchful, it will intercept them and throw them back at you. "These won't grow here," it says. "The soil isn't right. The conditions aren't perfect. Be realistic." But at night, when the conscious mind is drowsy and less vigilant, when the gatekeeper is distracted or sleeping, you can slip seeds directly into the garden. And once they're planted in the subconscious soil, they must grow. They have no choice. The subconscious mind doesn't judge or question, it simply accepts and creates. The first and most powerful trick for accessing your subconscious mind is to use what I call the state akin to sleep, that drowsy twilight state between waking and sleeping, where your conscious mind relaxes its guard. and your subconscious becomes highly receptive to suggestion. This state occurs naturally twice every day, as you're falling asleep at night and as you're waking up in the morning. In these moments, the critical factor of your conscious mind is diminished, and you have direct access to the creative workshop of your subconscious. This is why I always tell people, use the moments before sleep as your most sacred creative time. This is when you plant the seeds of tomorrow's experiences. This is when you trick your subconscious mind into accepting new assumptions about yourself and your world. Let me tell you about a gentleman who mastered this technique. He was a salesman who had been struggling for years, barely making enough to support his family. He came to me desperate for a solution, convinced that he simply wasn't good at sales. I taught him this trick. Every night as he drifted off to sleep, he was to imagine himself as the top salesman in his company. Not to visualize it happening someday, but to feel it as already accomplished. I told him to feel the satisfaction of closing major sales, to imagine his manager congratulating him, to experience the security of having more than enough money. But won't my mind reject this because it's not true? He asked. Not in the drowsy state, I replied. In that twilight moment before sleep, your conscious mind's defenses are down. Your subconscious is open and receptive. It's like the gatekeeper has stepped away from his post. This is your opportunity to plant new seeds directly in the garden of your subconscious mind. He practiced this faithfully every night for 3 months, and something remarkable began to happen. His approach to sales changed without him consciously trying to change it. He became more confident, more natural, more persuasive. Opportunities appeared that he had never noticed before. Within 6 months, he had become the top salesman in his company. He had tricked his subconscious mind into accepting a new identity by slipping it past the conscious mind's resistance during the drowsy state. The second trick is imagining from instead of imagining of. Most people, when they try to manifest something, make a critical error. They imagine themselves achieving their desire from a distance, like watching a movie of themselves succeeding. They see themselves getting the job, finding the love, receiving the money, but they're watching it happen to someone who looks like them rather than experiencing it as themselves. This is imagining of rather than imagining from. And your subconscious mind is not tricked by this because it knows you're still identifying as the observer rather than the experiencer. The trick is to imagine from your desire rather than of your desire. Don't watch yourself succeeding. Be yourself succeeding. Don't see yourself happy. Feel yourself happy. Don't observe yourself wealthy. Experience yourself wealthy from the inside out. Let me illustrate with a powerful example. A young woman came to me who desperately wanted to marry a specific man. She had been visualizing their wedding for months, seeing herself in a wedding dress, watching them exchange vows, imagining the ceremony. But nothing was moving in that direction in her actual life. I said to her, "You're imagining of your wedding rather than from your wedding. You're watching it like a spectator, rather than experiencing it as the bride. Your subconscious mind knows the difference, and it's not being tricked." I taught her to imagine from the end instead. Tonight, don't visualize your wedding. I told her, feel what it's like to be married to him. Wear an imaginary ring and feel its weight on your finger. Feel him beside you in bed. Have imaginary conversations as his wife. Experience the reality of being married from the first-person perspective. This shift changed everything. Within weeks, their relationship began to deepen. Within months, he proposed. She had finally tricked her subconscious mind by stepping into the experience rather than watching it from outside. The subconscious mind can only create experiences you claim as your own. When you imagine from your desire, you're claiming it as your reality. When you imagine of your desire, you're admitting it's separate from you. Here's a trick that most people find absolutely revolutionary when they discover it. You can trick your subconscious mind by revising the past. Your subconscious mind stores memories, and these memories form the foundation of your self-concept and your expectations about life. But here's the secret. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between a memory of something that actually happened and a memory of something you vividly imagined happening. This means you can literally revise your memories, and in doing so change the pattern of your future experiences. Let me share an extraordinary example. A businessman came to me who had given a disastrous presentation at work. He had frozen, stumbled over his words, and essentially ruined an important opportunity for his company. He was convinced this failure would define his career, and that he would never be trusted with important presentations again. "The past is the past," he said miserably. "I can't change what happened." "Can't you?" I replied. "Your subconscious mind is creating your future based on patterns established by your past. If the memory of this failed presentation remains in your subconscious as a dominant pattern, it will continue to create similar experiences. But if you revise this memory, you change the pattern." I taught him to replay the presentation in his imagination every night before sleep, but this time to imagine it going perfectly, to feel himself speaking confidently and clearly, to experience the satisfaction of delivering an excellent presentation, to hear the applause and receive the congratulations. "But this isn't what happened," he protested. "Your subconscious mind doesn't care what happened in the external world," I explained. "It only cares what you consistently impress upon it. If you consistently impress upon it the memory of a successful presentation, it will create future presentations that match this revised memory rather than the original failure." He practiced this revision faithfully for 2 weeks. And then something remarkable happened. He was asked to give another presentation. This time, without any conscious effort, he delivered it confidently and successfully. His subconscious mind had accepted the revised memory as fact and created a new experience to match it. This is one of the most powerful tricks for your subconscious mind. You can change your future by changing your past, not the external past, but the internal memory that your subconscious uses as a template for creating experiences. The fourth trick is the secret of feeling. Your subconscious mind speaks the language of feeling, not words. This is perhaps the most important trick of all. You must learn to impress your subconscious mind with feeling rather than with thoughts alone. You can repeat affirmations all day long, but if there's no feeling behind them, they're just empty words bouncing off the surface of your conscious mind. But when you generate the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you bypass the conscious mind entirely and speak directly to the subconscious. Think of your subconscious mind as a child who doesn't understand complex words but responds powerfully to emotion. If you try to convince a child of something through logical argument, you'll likely fail. But if you express something with genuine feeling, the child accepts it immediately and completely. Let me tell you about a woman who discovered this principle in the most practical way. She had been trying to manifest a new home for over a year. She made vision boards, repeated affirmations, visualized her dream house, but nothing was changing in her circumstances. I asked her, "When you do these practices, what do you feel?" She thought about it and said honestly, "I feel frustrated that I don't have it yet. I feel anxious about whether it will ever happen. I feel doubt creeping in." "There's your problem," I said. "You're impressing your subconscious mind with feelings of frustration, anxiety, and doubt. And like the faithful servant it is, your subconscious is creating more experiences that generate these same feelings." I taught her to generate the feeling of already living in her dream home. Not the feeling of wanting it or hoping for it or waiting for it, the feeling of having it. Every evening she would sit quietly and generate the feeling of satisfaction, security, and joy that came from living in her perfect home. At first this was difficult, because her conscious mind kept reminding her that she didn't actually have the home. But I told her your conscious mind will always remind you of current facts, but your subconscious mind only cares about what you consistently feel. If you feel wealthy, it creates wealth. If you feel loved, it creates love. If you feel satisfied, it creates satisfaction. She practiced generating this feeling daily, and within 4 months, a series of unexpected events led to her moving into a home that exceeded even her original vision. She had tricked her subconscious mind by speaking its native language, the language of feeling. Now, here's a trick that combines all the others. Assume your wish is already fulfilled, and maintain that assumption until it hardens into fact. Your subconscious mind is constantly scanning your assumptions about yourself and your world, and it works tirelessly to create experiences that confirm these assumptions. If you assume you're unlucky, it will find evidence of bad luck. If you assume you're blessed, it will find evidence of blessings. The trick is to consciously plant a new assumption in your subconscious mind, and then persist in that assumption regardless of what your senses report or what your circumstances suggest. A man came to me who was drowning in debt. He owed over $200,000 and saw no way out. I assume I'll be in debt forever, he said. That's just my reality. And as long as you assume that, I replied, your subconscious mind will ensure it remains your reality. But what if you assumed something different? What if you assumed you were debt-free and financially secure? How can I assume something that contradicts all evidence? He asked. By understanding that your assumptions create your evidence, not the other way around, I explained. Your current debt is evidence of your past assumptions about money and yourself. If you change your assumptions, you change the evidence your subconscious mind creates. I taught him to live in the assumption of being debt-free. Every time he thought about money, he would assume abundant supply. Every time he paid a bill, he would assume he had more than enough. Every time he checked his bank balance, he would assume financial security, regardless of what the numbers showed. This felt unnatural at first, almost dishonest. But I explained that he wasn't denying his current circumstances. He was simply choosing which assumption his subconscious mind would work from. Would it work from the assumption of eternal debt, creating more debt, or would it work from the assumption of financial freedom, creating paths to freedom? Within 18 months, through a series of opportunities and solutions he could never have consciously planned, he was completely debt-free with money and savings. His subconscious mind had been tricked into creating financial freedom by the persistent assumption that freedom was already his. The next trick is this. Act as if. Your subconscious mind takes its cues not just from what you think and feel, but from how you behave. When you act as if your desire is already fulfilled, you send powerful signals to your subconscious that bypass conscious resistance. This doesn't mean pretending in a way that's delusional or irresponsible. It means adopting the natural behaviors, attitudes, and responses of someone who already has what you desire. A woman came to me who desperately wanted to find love, but had been single for many years. I tried everything, she said. Social events, asking friends to set me up. Nothing works. I observed her for a few minutes and then said, you carry yourself like someone who is lonely and seeking. Your energy is reaching outward, grasping, needing. This is the energy of lack, and it repels what you desire. But I am lonely, she said. How can I pretend I'm not? I'm not asking you to pretend, I replied. I'm asking you to act as if you are already deeply loved. How would you carry yourself if you were in a loving relationship? How would you speak? How would you move through the world? I taught her to act as if she were already loved, to dress for herself as someone who felt cherished, to speak to herself with kindness as someone who was valued, to move through her days with the quiet confidence of someone who knew they were beloved. This wasn't pretending, this was tricking her subconscious mind into accepting a new identity. And when her subconscious accepted this identity of being a loved woman, it began to create circumstances that matched this identity. Within months, she met a man who was drawn to her confidence and self-assurance. Their relationship developed naturally because she was no longer radiating the desperate energy of lack. She had tricked her subconscious mind by acting as if her desire was already fulfilled, and her subconscious had made it so. Now the master trick is persistent assumption. All of these tricks are powerful, but they all depend on one master principle, persistence. Your subconscious mind is impressed not by occasional thoughts or fleeting feelings, but by persistent assumptions and consistent impressions. Think of your subconscious mind as a piece of clay. A single touch leaves barely a mark, but repeated pressure in the same spot creates a lasting impression. Your job is to persistently impress upon your subconscious mind the reality you wish to experience until that impression becomes permanent. Most people fail at manifestation, not because the principles don't work, but because they give up too soon. They try to trick their subconscious mind for a day, a week, maybe a month. But when they don't see immediate results, they abandon the new assumption and return to their old patterns of thought. But the subconscious mind is like a garden. Seeds planted today don't become visible plants tomorrow. There's an invisible period of growth happening beneath the surface. If you dig up the seeds every few days to check if they're growing, you'll prevent them from ever becoming plants. A young man came to me who wanted to become a successful writer. He had been working on his craft for years, but had received nothing but rejections. "Maybe I'm just not good enough," he said. "You've been impressing your subconscious mind with the assumption that you're not good enough," I replied. "Every rejection you've accepted as evidence of your inadequacy has deepened that impression. You must now persistently impress upon your subconscious a new assumption that you are a successful published writer." So I taught him to maintain this assumption consistently, regardless of continued rejections. Every morning he would assume the feeling of being a successful writer. Every evening he would remember his success as though it had already happened. Every time he wrote, he would write from the consciousness of someone whose work was valued and sought after. For 8 months, nothing changed in his external circumstances. He still received rejections. His conscious mind repeatedly suggested he was delusional, but he persisted in his assumption. Then suddenly, everything shifted. An editor who had previously rejected him reached out with interest in a different piece. That led to a publishing deal. Within a year, his book was successful, and he was receiving offers for more work. The trick had worked because he had persisted. His subconscious mind, after months of consistent impression, had finally accepted his new assumption as fact and created circumstances to match it. Let me leave you with this final understanding. You're not really tricking your subconscious mind in any deceptive sense. You're simply learning to communicate with it in its own language, bypassing the interference of the critical conscious mind. Your subconscious mind is not your enemy. It's your faithful servant, working every moment to create experiences that match your dominant assumptions and feelings. The problem is that most people have programmed this servant with limiting beliefs, fearful expectations, and negative self-concepts. When you learn to trick your subconscious mind, what you're really doing is deprogramming the old limitations and programming new possibilities. You're teaching this faithful servant to work for your desires rather than against them. So remember these tricks. Use the drowsy state to plant new impressions when conscious resistance is low. Imagine from your desire rather than of your desire to claim it as your reality. Revise past failures in imagination to change the patterns creating your future. Generate the feeling of the wish fulfilled to speak the subconscious mind's native language. Maintain the assumption of your desire being fulfilled regardless of current evidence. Act as if your desire is already fulfilled to send behavioral signals to your subconscious. And persist in these practices until your new assumptions harden into fact. Your subconscious mind is the most powerful creative force in your life. It's been creating your experiences faithfully according to your assumptions, both conscious and unconscious. Now you have the knowledge to direct it consciously, deliberately, and powerfully. You don't need to convince your conscious mind that these techniques will work. Your conscious mind will doubt, question, and resist. But your subconscious mind will respond faithfully to whatever you persistently impress upon it with feeling and conviction. So tonight, as you drift off to sleep, use that precious drowsy state to plant the seeds of your desires. Imagine from the end of your wish fulfilled. Generate the feeling of having what you desire. Assume it is already yours. And then persist in this assumption, day after day, night after night, until your faithful subconscious servant has no choice but to create in your outer world what you have consistently impressed upon your inner world. Your subconscious mind is waiting to be directed. It's ready to serve your highest good. You now know the tricks to communicate with it effectively. Use them well, use them faithfully, and watch as your entire life transforms to match the new impressions you've planted in the fertile garden of your subconscious mind. Thank you, and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and you are the operant power in your world. I will see you in the next video. Good evening, my dear friends. Tonight I want to reveal to you the most powerful creative force in the universe. A force so immediate, so responsive, so absolutely faithful, that every time you use it, without exception, it begins immediately to create the reality you have declared. This force is not hidden in some distant realm. It requires no special knowledge, no years of study, no elaborate rituals. It is available to you right now, has always been available, and will always be available. That force, my friends, is contained in two simple words. I am. These are not merely words you speak. They are the very name of God operating through you. When Moses stood before the burning bush and asked the Almighty for his name, the answer came back with thunderous clarity, I am that I am. And that same creative power, that same divine authority, lives within you and expresses through you every time you declare, I am. Most people use these words carelessly, unconsciously, destructively. They say, I am broke, I am sick, I am lonely, I am afraid, never realizing that they are speaking with the creative authority of the universe itself. They are wielding the most powerful magic wand ever created, but they are using it to create limitation, suffering, and lack. Tonight, I want to teach you to use your magic wand consciously, deliberately, powerfully. I want to show you how to transform every I am statement into a conscious act of creation that builds the life you desire rather than perpetuating the life you want to escape. The revelation that changed my understanding forever came through a gentleman who approached me after one of my lectures. He was a man of obvious intelligence and education, yet he was trapped in circumstances that seemed to contradict his capabilities. Neville, he said, I've studied your teachings for months. I understand the principles intellectually, but I can't seem to make them work. My life continues to be a series of disappointments and failures. As we spoke, I began to notice something remarkable. In the space of 10 minutes, this man used the words I am followed by limitation more than 20 times. I am always unlucky. I am not good at relationships. I am terrible with money. I am just not the type of person who succeeds. Each statement was spoken with complete conviction, as though he was stating irrefutable facts about his nature. I stopped him mid-sentence and said, my friend, you have just shown me exactly why your life is filled with limitation. You are using the creative power of I am to constantly affirm your limitations. You are speaking your struggles into existence with the very power that could speak your freedom into existence. He looked at me with confusion. But these things are true about me. I'm just being honest about my situation. No, I replied. You are being creative about your situation. Every time you say I am followed by any condition, you are not describing reality. You are creating reality. You are not stating facts. You are establishing facts. The universe has no choice but to confirm whatever you declare yourself to be. That evening, I taught this man the true power of his words. I showed him how to transform every limiting I am statement into a creative declaration of his desired reality. Instead of saying I am unlucky, he learned to declare I am blessed. Instead of I am not good at relationships, he began to affirm I am deeply loved and loving. Instead of I am terrible with money, he started stating I am naturally abundant. At first, these new statements felt foreign and false to him, because they contradicted his current experience. But I explained that feeling false was actually a good sign. It meant he was expanding beyond his old identity into a new one. The goal was not to convince his mind that these things were already true, but to impress upon his subconscious that these were the truths he was choosing to create. Within 6 months, every aspect of this man's life had transformed. Opportunities appeared that perfectly matched his new I am declarations. People responded to him differently because he was responding to himself differently. His entire reality reorganized itself around the new identity he had been consistently claiming through his I am statements. But the most remarkable change was in the man himself. He had stopped being a victim of circumstances and had become the conscious creator of circumstances. He had learned to wield his magic wand with intention and purpose. You see, I am is not simply a phrase you speak. It is the creative mechanism through which consciousness expresses itself as individual experience. Every time you say I am and complete that statement, you are defining yourself to yourself and to the universe. You are declaring your identity, and identity is destiny. The power of I am works whether you use it consciously or unconsciously, positively or negatively. It is always creating. The question is, what are you creating? Are you using your magic wand to create the life you desire? Or are you unconsciously creating more of what you want to escape? Let me tell you about a woman who discovered this power in the most practical way possible. She came to me struggling with chronic illness that had persisted for years, despite every medical treatment available. Neville, she said, I've tried everything the doctors suggested, but nothing works. I'm beginning to think I'll never be healthy again. As she spoke, I noticed her constant use of illness-affirming I am statements. I am sick. I am weak. I am always tired. I am not getting better. Each statement was strengthening her identity as a sick person, and therefore reinforcing her experience of sickness. I said to her, You have been using the creative power of I am to constantly reaffirm your illness. But that same power can be used to affirm your health. What if, instead of saying I am sick, you began to say I am perfectly healthy? What if, instead of I am weak, you declared I am strong and vital? But I don't feel healthy and strong, she protested. Wouldn't I be lying? You would be choosing, I replied. Right now you are choosing to identify with sickness by constantly declaring yourself to be sick. But you could just as easily choose to identify with health by declaring yourself to be healthy. Neither statement describes reality. Both statements create reality. I taught this woman to become conscious of every I am statement she made throughout the day. Whenever she caught herself affirming limitation or illness, she would immediately correct herself with an affirmation of health and vitality. Instead of I am tired, she would say I am energetic. Instead of I am in pain, she would declare I am comfortable and at ease. The transformation was gradual but profound. As she consistently used her I am statements to claim health rather than illness, her body began to respond. Her energy increased, her symptoms diminished, and within a year she had recovered completely from the condition that doctors had said was incurable. She had learned to use her magic wand to create health instead of perpetuating illness. The same creative power that had been making her sick was now making her well. This brings us to one of the most important truths about I am. It always creates in the present moment. When you say I am healthy, you are not making a statement about your future health. You are claiming health as your present identity. When you declare I am abundant, you are not hoping for future abundance. You are embodying abundance now. The magic wand of I am does not create gradually over time. It creates immediately and continuously. Every I am statement is creating right now, in this moment, whether you realize it or not. Let me share with you the story of a young man who grasped this principle so completely that his transformation seemed miraculous to everyone who knew him. He was working at a job he hated for wages that barely supported him, feeling trapped in circumstances that seemed unchangeable. One day he came to understand the power of his I am statements. He realized that for years he had been saying, I am stuck, I am underpaid, I am unappreciated, and I am trapped. He was using his creative power to continuously recreate the very circumstances he wanted to escape. He made a decision that changed his life forever. He decided to use his I am statements to create the reality he desired instead of perpetuating the reality he wanted to leave behind. Every morning he would declare, I am successful. I am valued. I am well compensated for my contributions. I am free to create the career I love. At first, these statements seemed to contradict his external circumstances. But he understood that he was not describing his current situation. He was creating his new situation. He was using his magic wand to forge a new identity. And he knew that external circumstances would eventually conform to match his internal identity. Within 3 months, he had been offered a position with another company that paid twice his current salary. Within a year, he had been promoted to a leadership role that utilized his talents perfectly. Within 2 years, he had started his own successful business. But the most remarkable change was not in his external circumstances. It was in his relationship with himself. He had learned to see himself as successful, valuable, and free. And this new self-concept had manifested as a completely transformed life. Now, let me address a crucial point that often confuses people: the difference between affirming I am something and actually being it. When you declare I am wealthy, while your bank account shows little money, are you lying to yourself? The answer is that you are choosing which level of truth to identify with. Your bank account reflects one level of reality, the level of current external circumstances. But your consciousness is a deeper level of reality that has the power to change any external circumstance. When you say I am wealthy, you are not describing your current bank balance. You are claiming the consciousness of wealth that will create a wealthy bank balance. You are identifying with the truth of your unlimited nature rather than the appearance of your temporary limitation. The I am statements work by shifting your identity from what you appear to be to what you choose to become. They transform you from the inside out, and external changes follow internal changes as naturally as fruit follows the planting of a seed. I remember a woman who wanted to heal a troubled relationship with her adult daughter. For years, their interactions had been filled with conflict and misunderstanding. The woman would say, I am a terrible mother. I am always saying the wrong thing. I am just not good at relationships. I taught her to transform these limiting declarations into creative ones. I am a loving mother. I am wise in my communications. I am naturally skilled at creating harmony in relationships. As she consistently used these new I am statements, something beautiful began to happen. She started responding to her daughter differently because she was seeing herself differently. Her words became more thoughtful, her tone more gentle, her approach more understanding. Within months, their relationship had healed completely. The daughter later said, I don't know what happened, but Mom became a completely different person. The mother I always wished I had. The woman had not changed her daughter. She had changed her I am identity. And that change had transformed every aspect of their relationship. This illustrates another crucial aspect of the I am power. It not only changes how you experience yourself, but it changes how others experience you. When you transform your identity through I am statements, you literally become a different person, and the world responds to this new person accordingly. People will say, you seem different, or something has changed about you, without being able to identify exactly what that change is. What they are sensing is a shift in your fundamental identity, a change in who you know yourself to be. The key to using I am as your magic wand is consistency and consciousness. You must become aware of how you currently use these powerful words, and you must take control of what follows them. Every I am statement is a creative act. Make sure you are creating consciously. Begin by paying attention to your automatic I am statements throughout the day. Notice when you say things like I am tired, I am stressed, I am confused, I am overwhelmed. Each of these statements is using your creative power to reinforce the very conditions you want to change. Instead, begin to consciously choose what follows I am. Even if your circumstances seem to suggest otherwise, declare the truth you want to create. I am energetic. I am peaceful. I am clear. I am capable. Remember, you are not trying to convince anyone else of these statements. You are impressing them upon your own subconscious mind. You are teaching yourself a new identity, and identity always manifests as experience. The magic wand of I am requires no belief from others, no external validation, no permission from circumstances. It works purely through the creative power of consciousness declaring its chosen reality. Some people worry about using I am statements that seem to contradict their current experience. They fear they are being dishonest or unrealistic. But you must understand that there are many levels of truth, and you have the power to choose which level to inhabit. Your current circumstances represent the truth of what you have been. Your I am statements represent the truth of what you are becoming. Both are real, but one is creative while the other is historical. When you declare I am healthy, you are not denying that your body currently shows symptoms of illness. You are choosing to identify with the health that exists in consciousness rather than the illness that appears in form. You are claiming your right to be well rather than accepting a sentence of sickness. Let me share one final story that demonstrates the ultimate power of conscious I am declaration. A man came to me who had struggled with addiction for many years. He had tried numerous treatments and recovery programs, but nothing had created lasting change. As we spoke, I noticed his constant identification with his addiction. I am an addict. I am powerless. I am broken. I am diseased. Every statement was reinforcing his identity as someone controlled by substances rather than someone in control of his choices. I taught him to completely reverse his I am declarations. I am free. I am powerful. I am whole. I am in complete control of my choices. At first, these statements felt impossible to him because they contradicted years of conditioning and current experience. But I explained that his recovery would not come from fighting his addiction. It would come from claiming a new identity that was incompatible with addictive behavior. He needed to stop being an addict trying to get sober and start being a free person who naturally made healthy choices. As he consistently used his I am statements to claim freedom rather than bondage, his entire relationship with substances began to change. He no longer saw himself as someone struggling against addiction. He saw himself as someone who was naturally free and healthy. The transformation was complete and lasting. He had not overcome addiction through willpower or external support. He had transcended addiction through identity transformation. He had used his magic wand to create a new self that had no relationship with addictive substances. So tonight, I want you to recognize the incredible power you wield every time you say I am. These words are not casual conversation. They are the creative authority of the universe expressing through you. They are your magic wand, and you can use this wand to create any reality you choose. Begin today to use your I am statements consciously and constructively. Claim the identity you desire rather than confirming the identity you want to escape. Declare yourself to be what you wish to become rather than what you appear to be. Remember, every I am statement is a prayer, a command, a creative decree issued by the divine consciousness that you are. The universe must respond to these declarations because they are spoken with the authority of God Himself. Use your magic wand wisely. Use it deliberately. Use it to create the magnificent life that is your birthright and destiny. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video.
The energy you surround yourself with plays a crucial role in attracting abundance into your life. Whether it's through mindfulness, positive affirmations, or surrounding yourself with symbols of prosperity, everything you do has the power to shape your financial future. When you align yourself with the right energy, you open the doors to limitless opportunities. Now, let's talk about something important. The economy might feel uncertain right now. You may be feeling anxious about your financial situation, but I want you to take a deep breath and let go of the fear. Listen carefully to every word of this message. It will shift your mindset and activate the energy of wealth within you. You may be skeptical, but I assure you, once you align yourself with the right frequency, you will be amazed at how quickly financial opportunities start appearing. You are now stepping into a new journey, one filled with prosperity, financial growth, and limitless abundance. Everything is shifting in your favor. The doors of wealth are opening, and you are about to receive more than you ever imagined. You are about to step into a completely new way of living. A life where money flows effortlessly into your hands, where abundance surrounds you, and where prosperity becomes your new reality. Whatever financial goals you've envisioned for yourself, no matter how big, expect even more. Your journey to wealth and financial success starts now. Before we move forward, take a moment to focus your mind. Breathe deeply, clear your thoughts, and concentrate on one powerful word. Increase. Increase in abundance. Increase in prosperity. Increase in wealth. Increase in cash flowing into your life. Increase in success touching every part of your journey. This increase isn't just for you. It will also uplift those you love. As your wealth grows, so does your ability to make a difference, to create opportunities, and to live the life you've always dreamed of. Right now, you may feel stuck, uncertain, or even doubtful about your financial future. But that's about to change. By the end of this video, you will no longer see money as something distant or difficult to obtain. Instead, you will understand that money is energy, and energy flows to where it is welcomed. Many people make the mistake of viewing money as just numbers in a bank account, but in reality, money is vibration. It is all around you, waiting for you to align with it. There is already an unlimited flow of wealth and prosperity moving in your direction. The only thing you need to do is open yourself to receive it, and that is exactly what we are going to do right now. Take a deep breath. Breathe in deeply through your nose, filling your lungs with fresh, clean energy. Feel the breath travel down, expanding your chest, filling your entire body with warmth, light, and calm. Hold it for a moment. Now slowly exhale through your mouth, releasing all tension, all stress, all doubt. Let go of anything that no longer serves you. This is your time. This is your moment. Right now, there is nothing else to do, nowhere else. To be simply relax. Allow yourself to sink into this experience fully. If you feel comfortable, gently close your eyes. Let the outside world fade away for a moment. If you prefer to keep your eyes open, that's perfectly fine. Just allow yourself to drift into a state of deep relaxation. Feel your body becoming lighter. Your shoulders loosen, your mind clears, your breath deepens. A profound sense of peace begins to settle over you, wrapping around you like a warm embrace. In this moment, there is nothing to worry about. Everything in your life is unfolding exactly as it should. There is no need to force anything. There is no need to rush. Right here, right now. You are in perfect alignment with the natural flow of the universe. You are stepping into a new version of yourself, one that is abundant, successful, and overflowing with prosperity. Now imagine a soft golden light surrounding you. This light is warm, comforting, powerful. It wraps around you like a protective cocoon of pure energy, shielding you from negativity, dissolving any lingering doubts and filling you with a deep, unshakable sense of certainty and peace. This is not just any light. It is the very essence of abundance, success, and infinite wealth. It is the energy of prosperity itself. With each breath you take, this light grows brighter, stronger, more radiant. It pulsates with pure golden energy, expanding all around you, flowing through you and illuminating every corner of your being. As it expands, it clears away the old, the doubts, the fears, the subconscious limitations that once held you back. It replaces them with confidence, clarity, and the unshakable belief that you are destined for abundance. Feel this golden energy moving through your body. It flows into your head, clearing your mind of all worry. It travels down your neck and shoulders, releasing tension, dissolving stress. It fills your heart, opening it wide to receive. It spreads down through your arms, through your hands, making you ready to grasp the wealth and success that is already on its way to you. The light continues to flow, moving into your stomach, your legs, your feet, grounding you in prosperity, anchoring you in certainty, aligning you with financial freedom. You are glowing with abundance. You are radiating success. You are overflowing with wealth. And as this light surrounds and fills you, it does something even greater. It begins to attract. Like a magnet, this energy starts pulling in limitless prosperity from all directions. Opportunities are drawn to you. Unexpected financial blessings start moving toward you. Wealth, success, and abundance begin gravitating toward you, effortlessly, naturally, powerfully. With every breath, this attraction becomes stronger. With every heartbeat, this reality becomes more certain. And now, as you are wrapped in this powerful golden glow, you hear these words, not just as words, but as vibrations. These are not just sounds. These are not just sentences. These words are energy. These words are frequencies. They hold within them the power to reshape your mind, transform your energy, and unlock the doors to infinite financial prosperity. They are more than affirmations. They are commands to the universe. They are decrees of wealth. They are declarations of success, and as you hear them, they do something profound. They begin sinking deep into your subconscious mind, rewriting your beliefs, shifting your perspective, erasing old limitations, and clearing the way for unlimited abundance to flood into your life. Right now, in this very moment, your reality is shifting. The version of you that once hesitated, once doubted, once questioned your financial future, that version is fading away. In its place, a new version of you is emerging, a version that is confident, unstoppable, and fully aligned with wealth and success. You are no longer waiting for abundance to find you. You are attracting it now. You are stepping into your wealth. You are stepping into your success. You are stepping into your destiny. Take a deep breath and embrace the limitless abundance that is now flowing into your life. From this very moment, your reality is shifting. Money is no longer something distant or difficult to obtain. It is no longer an uphill battle, nor is it something that requires endless effort or struggle. It is not a burden that weighs you down, nor is it something you have to constantly chase. Instead, money is a natural part of your existence. As natural as the air you breathe, as effortless as the waves that reach the shore, as abundant as the stars in the night sky. It is always present, always flowing, always available to you. Money is not something you need to earn through hardship or sacrifice. It is not something that belongs only to others. It belongs to you. It is meant for you. It is already on its way to you. From this moment forward, you are no longer on the outside looking in. You are in the flow. You are in perfect alignment with the endless infinite supply of wealth that surrounds you. You are a magnet for financial success. Wealth, prosperity, and opportunity are no longer things that seem out of reach. They are no longer dreams waiting to be realized. They are no longer reserved for someday. They are here right now. You are stepping into a life where money flows to you effortlessly. Opportunities unfold before you with ease. Doors open for you in unexpected and extraordinary ways. The right people, the right resources, and the right circumstances all align to bring you exactly what you need at exactly the right time. Take another deep breath in. Feel the shift happening within you. Hold that breath for a moment and slowly exhale. With each breath, you feel lighter. With each breath, you feel more powerful, more confident, more certain of the abundance that is flowing into your life. There is no resistance, no hesitation, no fear. Only trust, only certainty, only abundance. With every breath you take, your mind, body, and energy field are aligning more deeply with wealth, prosperity, and financial freedom. You are now stepping into a new reality, one where you are surrounded by limitless abundance. You no longer worry about money. You no longer wonder if it will come. You know it is already coming. You feel it. You see it. You trust in it completely. It is no longer a question of if. It is already done. Your wealth is secured. Your success is inevitable. Your life is forever changed. Now take another deep breath and welcome the abundance that is now flowing into your life. You are no longer waiting for wealth to appear. It is already here. It is already moving toward you. It is already yours. Take a moment to let this truth sink in, feel it, believe it, know it. This is the beginning of something extraordinary. Your financial breakthrough has already begun. Are you ready? Now listen carefully and repeat these words in your mind or out loud with absolute certainty. Believe them, feel them, and know that they are already manifesting in your life. I invoke the infinite source of all wealth and abundance. Today I begin a new chapter, a new life, one filled with prosperity, success, and limitless opportunities. I do not need to ask for wealth, for I know that I was born to be wealthy. Money is multiplying in my life every single day. I now declare to the universe that wealth flows to me effortlessly, without struggle, without resistance. I am rich. I am abundant. I am financially free. Wealth is my reality. Today I am completely free from every limiting belief that once held me back. Every old thought, every doubt, every false belief that told me money was difficult to obtain, that I was not meant for abundance, or that financial success was out of reach, it is now erased. From this moment forward, I release the past. I step away from lack, from limitation, from struggle. I no longer carry the burdens of scarcity or the fears of not having enough. I have stepped into a new reality, a reality where wealth flows to me as naturally as the air I breathe, a reality where prosperity is not just a possibility, it is my truth, my identity, my destiny. I am no longer waiting for abundance to arrive. I am walking in it now. I declare that my life is overflowing with riches in every form. Money is no longer something distant or elusive. It is an ever-present force that surrounds me. It is in the air I breathe, in the steps I take, in the decisions I make. It is no longer something I wish for or chase after. Instead, it naturally flows to me in ways both expected and unexpected. I am fully connected to the energy of money. I no longer see it as numbers in a bank account or pieces of paper. I recognize it for what it truly is, a limitless vibration of abundance, a force that responds to my thoughts, my beliefs, and my energy. I can feel its presence in my life right now. I sense it moving toward me, through me, and within me. I am in perfect harmony with wealth. It moves through my hands, my home, my career, and my relationships. It strengthens me, empowers me, and expands my ability to live freely and abundantly. Wealth is no longer something I must strive for. It is something that is drawn to me effortlessly and continuously. I am aligned with the limitless abundance of the universe. I decree I am wealthy. I decree I am rich beyond measure. I decree I am abundant in every way. I embrace this truth. I live this truth. I am this truth. Money flows to me easily, effortlessly, and in ever-increasing amounts every single day. There is no struggle, only flow, expansion, and prosperity. This is my intention, and so it is. This is my reality, and so it is. This is my life, and so it is. One powerful word now fills my life. It fills my hands, my wallet, my home, and my bank account. That word is increase. This increase is unstoppable. It expands with every breath I take, with every action I make. Wealth is no longer something I seek. It is something that seeks me. It finds me effortlessly. It reaches me in expected and unexpected ways. Money is not just numbers in a bank account. It is an energy that surrounds me, supports me, and flows through my life like an endless river of prosperity. Everywhere I go, opportunities appear. Doors open. Favor follows me. I am in harmony with wealth. I am in alignment with success. Abundance is mine, and I fully receive it.
My friends, tonight I want to reveal to you the most profound secret about money that has ever been discovered. A truth so revolutionary that it will completely transform your relationship with wealth, abundance, and financial success. Listen carefully. Money is not paper. Money is not metal. Money is not numbers in a bank account. Money is pure energy, the energy of divine love made manifest in symbolic form. When you understand this truth, truly understand it, you will never struggle with money again. The great mystics knew this secret. They understood that money is simply divine love seeking expression through material form. It is the universe's way of saying, I love you, through tangible means. Every dollar that flows to you is a kiss from the infinite. Every financial blessing is a demonstration of divine favor. But here is what the world has never taught you. This energy of money vibrates at exactly the same frequency as self-love, self-respect, and recognition of your own divine worth. This is not metaphorical language. This is literal truth. When you vibrate at the frequency of self-love, you automatically attract the energy that manifests as money. Everything in this universe is energy vibrating at different frequencies. Water can be ice, liquid, or steam. The same H2O molecules expressing different vibrational states. Similarly, the energy of abundance can manifest as money, opportunities, gifts, or any form of material good, depending upon the frequency at which you are vibrating. When you love yourself, truly love yourself, you naturally vibrate at the frequency of wealth. You don't tolerate environments that diminish you. You don't chase people who don't value you. You don't settle for less than you deserve. You don't spend money to impress others. You invest money to express your true nature. This is the exact same energy signature that attracts wealth, because money flows to those who respect it, value it, and see it as an expression of divine abundance rather than the root of all evil. I once knew a man who earned minimum wage but carried himself with the dignity of a millionaire. He dressed impeccably with what little he had, treated every dollar with reverence, and never spoke of money with contempt or fear. Within 2 years, he had built a business empire. The money was drawn to him like iron filings to a magnet, because his frequency was already aligned with wealth consciousness. Money follows self-worth. Here is a truth that will revolutionize your financial life. Your bank account is nothing more than a perfect reflection of your self-worth, not your self-esteem. That's just surface emotion. I'm speaking of your deep core conviction about your own value in the universe. If you believe at the deepest level that you are worth $50,000 per year, the universe will orchestrate circumstances to ensure you earn approximately that amount. If you truly know yourself to be worth millions, the universe has no choice but to deliver opportunities that match this inner conviction. This is why people who win the lottery often lose it all. Their windfall exceeded their inner sense of worth, creating an unconscious discomfort that compelled them to return to their familiar financial level. They hadn't lifted their consciousness to match their bank account, so their bank account eventually dropped to match their consciousness. But when you consciously elevate your sense of worth, when you truly recognize yourself as a divine being deserving of abundant prosperity, the universe begins immediately to adjust your external circumstances to match this inner reality. Let me share with you the story of a woman who came to me earning $30,000 per year and feeling trapped in financial limitation. When I asked her what she believed she was worth, she hesitated and finally whispered, maybe $35,000. I showed her that she was thinking like a servant instead of a master. A servant asks permission from circumstances. A master commands circumstances through consciousness. I taught her to see herself as inherently valuable, not because of what she did, but because of what she was, a divine expression of infinite worth. We worked together to elevate her inner sense of value. Instead of seeing herself as someone hoping to earn more, she began to assume the consciousness of someone naturally worth abundant compensation. Within 6 months, she had doubled her income. Within 2 years, she was earning over $150,000 annually. The opportunities were always there, but she couldn't perceive them from her former consciousness of limited worth. Now, let me teach you something that banks and financial institutions pray you never discover. Money is energy, and energy must flow to remain alive. When you hoard money out of fear, you kill its energy. When you circulate money with love and wisdom, you multiply its power. This doesn't mean you should spend recklessly or fail to save and invest. It means you must understand that money is like water. It must flow to stay fresh. Stagnant water becomes polluted. Stagnant money becomes powerless to attract more of itself. The wealthy understand this principle intuitively. They know that money spent wisely returns multiplied. They invest in assets that generate income. They circulate money through business ventures that serve others. They understand that every dollar released with love and purpose will return with friends. But the poor think differently. They grip money with fear, terrified that spending any amount will leave them with less. This scarcity consciousness creates the very lack they fear. Their tight-fisted approach to money repels the very abundance they seek. I want to share with you a technique that will transform your relationship with money forever. The sacred circulation practice. Whenever money flows to you, whether a paycheck, a gift, or an unexpected windfall, immediately circulate a portion of it with love and gratitude. This doesn't mean giving it all away. It means consciously directing some of it toward purposes that serve the greater good, while filling your heart with joy. Pay your bills with gratitude, knowing that money is flowing through you to support others. Make investments with excitement, seeing each dollar as a seed that will grow into greater abundance. Give generously to causes that inspire you, recognizing that you are participating in the divine circulation of love. As you do this consistently, you will notice something remarkable. Money begins to flow to you more freely because you have demonstrated that you understand its true nature as flowing energy rather than static possession. Here is perhaps the most important distinction you will ever learn about money. There is a vast difference between having money and being wealthy. Having money is temporary. It can be gained or lost based on external circumstances. Being wealthy is a state of consciousness that naturally attracts money as its outward expression. When you are wealthy in consciousness, you think thoughts of abundance. You make decisions from prosperity rather than from lack. You carry yourself with the dignity of someone who knows their worth. You speak about money with respect and appreciation rather than fear and resentment. This wealthy consciousness is available to you right now, regardless of your current bank balance. You can choose to embody it immediately, and as you do, your external circumstances will begin to shift to match this inner state. I remember a time when I had only a few dollars to my name, yet I chose to think and feel like a millionaire. I walked with confidence, spoke with authority, and made decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. People began to treat me differently. Opportunities appeared that had been invisible before. Within months, my financial reality had transformed to match my inner conviction. The key is understand that wealth consciousness is not dependent upon wealth manifestation. It's the other way around. First, you become wealthy in mind and heart. Then wealth appears in your material world. Let me now reveal to you the most powerful technique for transforming your financial reality. The practice of assumption, applied specifically to money consciousness. Every night, as you prepare for sleep, assume the feeling of already possessing the wealth you desire. But don't just imagine having money. Feel what it feels like to be a wealthy person. Experience the consciousness of abundance from the inside out. Feel the peace that comes from knowing you have more than enough. Experience the generosity that flows naturally from abundance. Sense the freedom that comes from having multiple streams of income. Know the joy of being able to help others and support causes you believe in. As you generate these feelings night after night, you are impressing your subconscious mind with the reality of your wealth. Your subconscious, which cannot distinguish between imagined and actual experience, begins to restructure your entire life to match this new reality. But here's the crucial point. You must feel these emotions as if they are already true, not as if you hope they will become true. The difference between these two approaches is the difference between commanding and begging, between creating and hoping. I worked with a man who was deeply in debt and facing bankruptcy. Every night, instead of worrying about his financial problems, he would lie in bed and feel what it would be like to have abundant wealth flowing to him from multiple sources. He would imagine paying off all his debts with ease, investing in profitable ventures, and living with complete financial freedom. His logical mind protested, telling him this was foolish fantasy, but he persisted in assuming the feeling of financial abundance every single night. Within a year, he had not only eliminated his debt, but had built a thriving business that generated more wealth than he had ever imagined possible. The turning point came when he stopped trying to figure out how his situation would improve and simply assumed that it already had improved in consciousness. Once he made this inner shift, the universe began to orchestrate the external circumstances to match his new assumption. Now I want to share with you a perspective that will revolutionize your understanding of wealth. Money is spiritual currency. It is the material expression of your ability to serve others and add value to the world. Every dollar you earn represents value you have created for another human being. Every fortune that lasts is built upon genuine service to humanity. This is why businesses that truly serve prosper, while those that merely seek to extract money from people eventually fail. When you shift your focus from how can I make money to how can I serve in ways that naturally generate abundant compensation, you align yourself with the spiritual laws that govern lasting wealth. The universe is infinitely abundant, but it operates on the principle of circulation. Wealth flows to those who facilitate this circulation through service, value creation, and genuine contribution to the well-being of others. I once counseled a woman who was struggling to build her consulting business. She was focused entirely on how much money she could make from each client. Her consciousness was one of extraction rather than contribution. Naturally, clients were scarce, and those she did attract paid her minimally. I helped her shift her focus to the value she could provide. Instead of thinking about what she could get from clients, she began to concentrate on what she could give to them. She started seeing each potential client as an opportunity to make a meaningful difference in someone's life. This shift in consciousness transformed everything. Clients began seeking her out. They gladly paid premium prices for her services. Her income increased tenfold within 18 months. But more importantly, she found deep fulfillment in her work. The money followed naturally because she had aligned herself with the spiritual principle that governs all lasting wealth: genuine service to others. You also need to break the poverty spell. Most people are under a spell, the poverty spell cast by generations of limited thinking about money. This spell manifests as beliefs like money is the root of all evil. Rich people are greedy, there's not enough to go around, and I don't deserve wealth. These beliefs are not your own. They were inherited from parents, absorbed from society, and reinforced by media that profits from keeping you in financial limitation. But spells can be broken, and I'm going to show you how. The poverty spell is broken through the conscious practice of wealth assumptions. Every time you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought about money, immediately replace it with an assumption of abundance. Instead of "I can't afford that," say "I am abundantly prospered." Instead of "money is tight," declare "money flows to me freely." Instead of "I'm not good with money," affirm "I am naturally wealthy." But remember, this is not mere positive thinking. You must generate the feeling of these statements being true. You must think from wealth, not of wealth. You must embody the consciousness of abundance, not merely recite abundance affirmations. Let me tell you about a man who was so deep under the poverty spell that he would literally push money away when it was offered to him. He had been taught that accepting money made him greedy or weak. This belief had kept him in poverty for decades. I helped him understand that money is simply energy, and rejecting it was like rejecting divine love. We worked to reprogram his deep-seated beliefs about his worthiness to receive abundance. As his consciousness shifted, his ability to attract and keep money transformed dramatically. Within 2 years, he had gone from pushing money away to naturally attracting multiple income streams. The spell was broken through conscious assumption and persistent practice. Let me now reveal to you the specific consciousness that creates millionaires. The millionaire mindset is not about having $1 million. It's about thinking in principles that naturally generate $1 million results. Millionaires think in terms of multiplication, not addition. They think in terms of systems, not single transactions. They think in terms of value creation, not job security. They think in terms of assets that produce income, not just income itself. But most importantly, millionaires assume abundance as their natural state. They expect good things to happen. They believe they deserve prosperity. They see opportunities where others see problems. They take calculated risks while others remain paralyzed by fear. You can adopt this millionaire consciousness immediately, regardless of your current financial situation. Start thinking like a millionaire today, and millionaire results will inevitably follow. I worked with a young man who had never earned more than $40,000 in a year, yet he made a decision to adopt millionaire consciousness. He began studying how millionaires think, what they believe about money, and how they make decisions. He started making small decisions from millionaire consciousness, investing in his education rather than spending on entertainment, building multiple income streams rather than relying on a single job, solving bigger problems rather than just doing assigned tasks. Within 5 years, he had achieved his first million in net worth, but the real transformation wasn't in his bank account, it was in his consciousness. He had literally become a different person, one who naturally attracted wealth because he thought and acted from wealth consciousness. I want to teach you a special practice that will accelerate your wealth manifestation beyond anything you've experienced. The prosperity prayer. This is not a prayer of begging or pleading. This is a prayer of assumption and recognition. Each morning, before you begin your day, speak these words with deep feeling and absolute conviction. I am divinely prospered. Money flows to me easily, abundantly, and continuously from expected and unexpected sources. I am a magnet for financial opportunities. I create value wherever I go, and the universe rewards this value with abundant compensation. I am grateful for the wealth that is already mine in consciousness and is now manifesting in my physical reality. But the words themselves are not the power. The power is in the feeling you generate as you speak them. You must feel the truth of these statements in your bones. You must embody the consciousness they represent. As you practice this daily, you will notice your entire relationship with money beginning to transform. Opportunities that were invisible before will become obvious. Income streams you never considered will begin to appear. Your capacity to receive and manage wealth will expand naturally. Here is something that wealthy people know but rarely share. Wealth is attracted to those who appreciate it, respect it, and see it as a tool for good. Money flows away from those who fear it, resent it, or see it as evil. Your attitude toward wealthy people reveals your attitude toward wealth itself. If you harbor resentment toward the rich, you are unconsciously repelling wealth from your own life. If you admire and respect successful people, you are aligning yourself with the energy of success. This doesn't mean you should worship money or wealthy people. It means you should recognize wealth as a natural expression of divine abundance and successful people as examples of what's possible when someone aligns with prosperity consciousness. I remember working with a man who constantly complained about greedy rich people while simultaneously wondering why he couldn't attract wealth. His resentment toward the wealthy was creating an unconscious rejection of wealth itself. Once he learned to appreciate success in others and see wealthy people as inspiration rather than enemies, his own financial situation began to improve dramatically. He realized that what you resist persists, and what you appreciate appreciates. Let me share with you one of the most important wealth-building strategies: the conscious creation of multiple income streams. This is not just a financial technique, it's a way of aligning with the abundance of the universe itself. Nature creates through diversity and multiplication. A single tree produces thousands of seeds. A river flows through multiple channels. The sun radiates energy in countless directions. When you create multiple income streams, you are modeling your financial life on the principles of natural abundance. But here's what most people don't understand. Multiple income streams don't just provide financial security. They provide energetic alignment with infinite abundance. Each stream represents a different way you are serving the world and receiving compensation for that service. Start by identifying your natural talents, skills, and interests. Each of these can potentially become an income stream. Your job is not to force these streams into existence, but to assume they already exist and allow them to manifest naturally. I worked with a teacher who felt trapped by her single salary. Together, we identified 7 different ways she could serve others and generate income: tutoring, writing educational materials, conducting workshops, creating online courses, consulting with schools, coaching other teachers, and speaking at conferences. Within 2 years, she had developed 5 of these 7 income streams. Her total income had tripled, but more importantly, she felt alive and excited about her work in ways she hadn't experienced in years. As we near the end of our journey together tonight, I want to leave you with the ultimate truth about money and wealth. True wealth is not about accumulating money. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts and wisely manages abundant resources. When you focus on becoming wealthy in consciousness, developing the thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and habits of prosperity, the money follows naturally. But when you focus only on the money while neglecting consciousness, any wealth you acquire will be temporary and unfulfilling. The question is not, how can I make more money? The question is, how can I become the kind of person who naturally attracts and deserves abundant prosperity? Answer this question through your daily choices, your moment-to-moment assumptions, and your consistent practice of wealth consciousness, and the universe will have no choice but to mirror this inner wealth through your external circumstances. Tonight, as you prepare for sleep, I want you to assume the feeling of being naturally, abundantly, joyfully wealthy. Not just having money, but being wealth in human form. Feel the peace, the freedom, the generosity, and the joy that comes from knowing you are divinely prospered. As you fall asleep in this consciousness, you are impressing your subconscious mind with a new reality. You are planting seeds in the fertile soil of infinite possibility. You are aligning yourself with the energy of abundance that flows through all creation. Tomorrow, carry this consciousness with you throughout your day. Make decisions from wealth, not toward it. Think from abundance, not toward it. Be prosperity in action, knowing that the universe has no choice but to mirror your inner state through your outer circumstances. Remember, you are not trying to attract money from outside yourself. You are recognizing and expressing the infinite abundance that has always been your true nature. The energy of money is the energy of divine love seeking expression through material form. You are a beloved child of infinite abundance, worthy of every good thing, deserving of complete prosperity. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am divinely prospered in all ways. And so it is, and so it shall be. For this is the law of wealth consciousness. As within, so without, as above, so below, as in consciousness, so in manifestation. Rise up, prosperous being. Your abundant future awaits, and it begins with your next assumption about yourself. You need to understand that your entire external world is nothing more than a reflection of your internal state of consciousness. And this is where the idea of embodying your assumption takes root. For it is not enough to simply think of a desire occasionally or whisper hopeful affirmations, but you must live from the state of the wish fulfilled and let that reality become more real to you than the one you perceive with your senses. When you assume a new identity internally, you are stepping into a new version of yourself. And it is from that place of inner embodiment that the outer world reorganizes itself to mirror that new conception you hold of yourself, which means you must become the person who already has, already is, already lives the outcome you seek. You must walk, think, feel, respond, and carry yourself as the version of you who no longer seeks the desire but enjoys it as a part of your natural state. And in doing so, you dissolve the gap between wanting and having because you eliminate the need to chase what you have already become. When you detach from the physical evidence and shift your focus inward, you begin to experience a powerful shift in your consciousness, one where you no longer seek validation from what is, but instead command creation by aligning your inner world with your deepest desires. And this alignment is not a fleeting moment of visualization or a shallow repetition of words, but a deep, consistent embodiment of your assumed identity, which means that your mood, your reactions, and your expectations all reflect this new internal stance. You must become so rooted in your inner conviction that no outer appearance has the power to sway your belief or cause you to doubt the reality you have claimed within. And this requires a level of discipline and devotion to the unseen that is often misunderstood by those who look only to the senses for proof. You must move through your day with the certainty that what you have claimed internally is already yours. And even if the outer world remains unchanged for a time, you persist in the assumption until it hardens into facts. When you embody your assumption, you no longer try to make something happen, for the very effort implies lack and separation. And instead, you dwell in the end result, resting in the knowing that the world must conform to the state you occupy. And this rest is not laziness or inaction, but a deep trust in the process of creation, one where your inner state is the cause and the outer reflection is the effect. You no longer worry about timing, for time bends to the state you inhabit. And so you let go of the need to force or rush, understanding that urgency is born from doubt, and doubt is a signal that you have not yet fully assumed the state you desire to embody. You learn to relax into your new identity, choosing thoughts and feelings that align with your desired outcome. And in doing so, you shift your energetic signature, which magnetically draws to you the people, opportunities, and circumstances that resonate with your new state. You become the embodiment of your desire not by outer doing, but by inner being. And this inner being becomes your new normal, your new base reality. And though the senses may continue to echo the old state for a time, you remain unmoved because you know that persistence in your assumption is what guarantees its external manifestation, and not the evidence or lack thereof around you. You detach not in the sense of indifference, but in the sense of no longer needing the outer world to prove your new identity to you, for you have already accepted it as true within. And this inner acceptance is what initiates the chain of events that culminate in physical manifestation. You speak to yourself from this new identity, you observe the world from this new perspective, and you respond to life as the version of you who already has what you once longed for. When you live from the end, you naturally align with the energy of your fulfilled desire, and everything in your world begins to reorient itself around that central state. Just as a magnet organizes metal filings into a new pattern, and though others may not understand how effortlessly your reality seems to shift, you know that it is not magic or chance, but the precise and unfailing law that whatever you accept as true of yourself becomes your experience. You do not merely pretend or hope, but you genuinely become inwardly and completely, and this becoming is not always loud or dramatic, but often silent and subtle. A quiet certainty that grows stronger with each moment you spend dwelling in the desired state. You no longer talk about your desire as something you want, but speak from it as though it is already woven into the fabric of your daily experience. And this shift in language reflects a deeper shift in identity. You stop seeking signs and stop watching for results because you know the only sign you need is your own inner conviction. And as you persist in this embodiment, the outer world must eventually catch up, for it is law, not luck, that governs creation. You move through the world with the quiet confidence of one who knows their power, who understands that the invisible assumption is more powerful than any visible fact. And you find joy not in waiting for your desire, but in living it now in consciousness. You begin to see that circumstances are merely reflections, not causes, and that your true work is always internal, always focused on maintaining your identity in the desired state, no matter what appears to be happening outside. This inner steadiness becomes your foundation, your strength, and from it springs a life that mirrors your deepest assumptions about who you are and what is possible for you. Each moment becomes an opportunity to recommit to your new identity, and when doubts arise, as they naturally will, you do not fight them or push them away, but acknowledge them, and then return to your chosen state, knowing that the repetition of this process is what builds the momentum of manifestation. You realize that the world responds not to your words or even your actions, but to your state, to the vibration you carry, and that this state is entirely within your control. You do not need to manipulate people or force outcomes, for the assumption does all the work, reorganizing reality in ways you could never have planned with the logical mind. And so you let go of the how and stay loyal to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You make decisions as the version of you who already has what they desire, and in doing so, you signal to the subconscious mind that this new identity is your truth. Your inner conversations shift from lack to fulfillment, and you begin to notice how your imagination becomes your truest reality. For what you hold within begins to override what you see without. And this is not delusion, but creation, for all things are created twice, first in imagination, then in form. You learn to value the unseen more than the seen, to cherish the feeling of already having, rather than the frustration of waiting to receive. And this shift in values aligns you with the flow of manifestation, which always begins within. You no longer react to appearances with fear or frustration, because you know that appearances are temporary echoes of past assumptions, and you have chosen a new reality from within. You rise above circumstance, not through effort or denial, but through the clarity of knowing that you are the operant power, and your world must reflect the state you dwell in consistently. You do not try to be positive all the time, for you understand that true embodiment goes deeper than surface emotions. It is a stable identity shift, not a fleeting feeling, and so you learn to rest in the assumption even when emotions waver, knowing that the subconscious responds to repeated impressions, not to momentary moods. You allow yourself to feel the depth of your new reality without needing to prove it to others. And in this quiet certainty, you find a power that transcends appearances, a creative force that shapes reality according to the state you assume to be real. You see challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to affirm your new state. And each time you persist despite appearances, you strengthen your belief and bring your desire closer to tangible form. You embody your assumption not through rigid control, but through relaxed dominion, allowing your imagination to paint the picture of your ideal reality, and then stepping into that picture with your inner being until it feels as natural as breathing. You use the world around you not as a gauge of success, but as a canvas upon which your inner state is projected, and each experience becomes feedback, showing you where your assumptions lie. You do not blame the outer for what you experience, but take responsibility for your inner stance, knowing that the outer must conform in time. You become a deliberate chooser of states, and each state you inhabit becomes the seed of a new reality. Even when nothing seems to change, you persist because you understand that manifestation is a process of unfolding, and that your continued embodiment of the end state is the guarantee of its arrival. You move from wishing to knowing, from hoping to claiming, and in this claiming, you set in motion the unseen forces that bring your desire to life. You realize that faith is not blind belief, but a deep inner conviction in the reality of the unseen. And this conviction grows with every moment you choose to live from your desired end. You do not need to convince others because your world is a mirror of your own belief, not theirs. And so you focus only on your internal alignment, which is the only true work that matters. Your feelings become your guide, not because they create, but because they reveal your state. And when you feel yourself slipping into doubt or fear, you gently return to your assumed identity, not with force, but with love, knowing that consistency in the state is more important than perfection. You begin to enjoy the feeling of already having, and this enjoyment becomes a magnet for more of what you desire, for like attracts like, and the feeling of fulfillment draws more fulfillment. You stop chasing desires and start embodying them, and this shift turns you from a seeker into a creator, from a reactor into a chooser, and your life transforms accordingly. As you continue to dwell in the state of your fulfilled desire, the world around you becomes malleable, shifting and reshaping itself to reflect the inner reality you have chosen. And though others may marvel at your apparent luck, you know it is not luck at all, but the result of living in the end. You understand that your assumption does not create instantly, but inevitably. And so you release impatience, trusting the timing of manifestation because you trust the law. You become the version of yourself who already has it. And in becoming, you receive, not through force or struggle, but through alignment. And each time your new reality unfolds, you strengthen your understanding that embodiment is the key, and assumption is the doorway through which all desires become reality.
To truly grasp the power of vibration, we need to understand what we mean by this term. Vibration is the rapid movement back and forth of particles. It's not just a physical phenomenon, it's also an energetic and metaphysical one. Everything around us, including our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, vibrates at various frequencies. These vibrations are like the unique signatures of all aspects of life. They interact with the energy around us, influencing and shaping our reality in ways we're only beginning to understand. Consider for a moment the vibrational difference between a thought filled with anger and one filled with love. Each thought emits a unique frequency, affecting our body and the world around us differently. This is not just poetic metaphor. It's a reality grounded in the science of quantum physics and the principles of neurobiology. Our thoughts and emotions, through their unique vibrational qualities, can literally change the structure and function of our brains and bodies. The impact of vibrational energy on our health and well-being is profound. This is where the concept of the placebo effect becomes incredibly relevant. Traditionally, the placebo effect has been seen as a nuisance in clinical trials, a confusing byproduct of our psychology. However, a deeper look reveals something astonishing. The placebo effect is a powerful demonstration of how belief and expectation, both forms of vibrational energy, can trigger physiological healing in the body. This phenomenon raises a critical question. Is it the physical substance that heals, or is it our belief in the healing power of that substance? The answer lies in the vibrational frequency of our belief. When we take a medication, believing it will help us, our body aligns with the vibrational frequency of healing. This belief, this expectation, acts as a trigger, setting off a cascade of biological processes that can mimic the effects of real medication. Knowing this, how can we harness vibrational energy to improve our health and overall well-being? It starts with our state of being, which is a combination of our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Our state of being generates a corresponding vibrational frequency. When we consciously align our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs in a positive and health-affirming way, we create a high-frequency vibrational state. This state can positively influence not just our mental and emotional health, but our physical health as well. Consider, for instance, the practice of meditation. When we meditate, we focus our thoughts, often bringing them into alignment with positive intentions or affirmations. This focused thought generates a specific vibrational frequency. When coupled with the emotions of peace, love, or joy, this frequency becomes even more potent. This is not just about feeling good. It's about creating a vibrational state that can positively influence our physical health. The interplay of belief and emotion in shaping our vibrational state is perhaps one of the most fascinating aspects of this journey. Our beliefs act as the framework for our vibrational output. When we believe in our ability to heal, to change, to overcome, we set the stage for that reality to manifest. This belief isn't just a thought. It's a vibrational blueprint that our body and the universe can respond to. Emotions add color and energy to this blueprint. Elevated emotions such as joy, gratitude, love, and inspiration have high vibrational frequencies. They can elevate our overall vibrational state, amplifying the effects of our beliefs. When we combine a strong, positive belief with an elevated emotion, we create a powerful vibrational state that can initiate changes in our body and our life. Imagine the impact of consistently combining the belief in your ability to heal with the emotion of gratitude for that healing. This combination creates a vibrational state that is aligned with health and well-being. It's like tuning into a radio frequency that plays the songs of health, joy, and fulfillment. This is the power of vibration, a power that transcends words and taps into the very essence of creation and transformation. A significant barrier to achieving a new state of vibrational being often lies in our past experiences. Our past plays a crucial role in shaping our current perceptions, beliefs, and emotional responses. Many of us are unknowingly living within the vibrational patterns of our past, limiting our ability to experience new and higher states of being. To truly harness the power of vibration, we must break free from these past patterns. Our brains are incredible record keepers. Every experience, thought, and emotion is logged, creating a vast database of information that shapes our reactions and decisions. This is where the challenge lies. Our brains are so efficient at this that they often keep us locked in a familiar vibrational state, a state that is based on our past. Breaking free from this requires us to consciously create new patterns of thought and emotion, patterns that are aligned with the vibrational state we wish to achieve. This is not a simple task. It requires dedication, awareness, and often a fundamental shift in our perception of reality. We must start seeing ourselves not as victims of our past, but as architects of our future. This shift in perception allows us to start creating new vibrational patterns. Patterns that are not based on past experiences, but on the possibilities of the future. Just as Pavlov conditioned his dogs to respond to the sound of a bell, we can condition our bodies and minds to respond to new vibrational states. This conditioning is a form of training, where we repeatedly expose ourselves to thoughts, beliefs, and emotions that align with the state we wish to achieve. Over time, this repeated exposure begins to rewire our brain and reprogram our body to a new vibrational frequency. This process is not about suppressing or ignoring our past experiences or current reality. Instead, it's about gradually shifting our focus and energy towards a new vibrational state. It's like planting a garden. At first, the new plants, our new vibrational patterns, are small and fragile, requiring consistent care and attention. But over time, they grow stronger and begin to transform the landscape of our garden, our state of being. The key to successful conditioning is consistency and repetition. Each time we consciously choose thoughts and emotions that align with our desired state, we strengthen that vibrational pattern. Over time, these patterns become our new default state, a state that is more aligned with our goals and aspirations. The placebo effect offers a powerful example of how our vibrational state, shaped by belief and expectation, can have tangible effects on our physical health. When a person takes a placebo, believing it to be an effective treatment, they align their vibrational state with that belief. This alignment triggers a physiological response in the body, often mirroring the effects of actual medical treatments. This phenomenon is a clear demonstration of the mind-body connection. It shows how our thoughts and beliefs, our vibrational output, can influence our physical state. It's not the inert substance in the placebo that's causing the change. It's the person's belief in the substance. This belief sets a vibrational frequency that the body responds to, initiating healing or relief. The implications of this are profound. It suggests that our vibrational state, shaped by our beliefs and expectations, plays a crucial role in our health and well-being. It also opens up exciting possibilities for healing and personal transformation. To harness the power of vibration, we can engage in practical exercises that elevate our vibrational state. These exercises include meditation, visualization, and emotional cultivation. Meditation is a powerful tool for aligning our vibrational frequency. Through meditation, we can quiet the chatter of our mind and focus our thoughts on our desired state of being. This focused attention sets a vibrational frequency that can attract similar energies and experiences. Visualization is another potent tool. By visualizing our desired state of being, we create a vibrational blueprint that our body and the universe can respond to. This blueprint, when coupled with strong emotion, becomes even more powerful. Emotional cultivation involves consciously choosing and nurturing positive emotions. Emotions like joy, love, gratitude, and peace have high vibrational frequencies. By cultivating these emotions, we elevate our overall vibrational state, making it easier to attract positive experiences and changes in our lives. Just like a physical workout strengthens the body, consistency and repetition in our vibrational practices strengthen our vibrational state. The more we practice these exercises, the more we reinforce our new vibrational patterns. This reinforcement is crucial for making lasting changes in our state of being. Each day, as we engage in these practices, we are essentially reprogramming our body and mind to a new vibrational frequency. Over time, this new frequency becomes our default state, opening up new possibilities for health, happiness, and fulfillment. As we deepen our understanding of vibrational energy and its impact on our health and well-being, we begin to see a future that goes beyond traditional medical models. In this future, healing is not just about treating symptoms with external substances. It's about tapping into our own vibrational power to initiate healing from within.